Today's lecture is will be focusing on the next part of transport phenomena, that is heat transfer. So today let's start with the heat transfer, and simultaneously we'll be solving some parts of mass transfer also. So first thing which today we'll start is your Fourier transport, Fourier law of heat conduction. Now consider two parallel plates two parallel plates or slab of a solid material with the area A between the two large parallel plates. The distance which are they kept is capital Y apart. Let's say this is the x is x and this is the x is y. Initially, there is a solid material between these two parallel plates, and throughout the solid material, it is maintained at a constant temperature T naught. It is maintained at a constant temperature T naught. Now, suddenly the lower plate is brought to a slightly higher temperature T1. The lower plate is now having a higher temperature T1, and it is maintained at this temperature T1. So what happens? So according to second law of thermodynamics, heat will transfer from high temperature towards the low temperature. So obviously there will be a heat transfer which will be moving from high temperature towards the low temperature. So as the time proceeds, what will happen is, initially let's say it is at temperature T naught, and now it is at maintained at T naught, T1. So initially you will notice that it will slowly and slowly rise, and it will form a steady state. So with respect to time, initially the temperature will rise throughout this solid material, and as the time proceeds, as after a certain period of time, as the time increases, this flow of heat transfer increases, and after a certain period of time, at that is at t equal to infinity, will achieve a steady state. So that means there will be a steady state temperature between the temperature difference between the two slabs. Now, experimental studies at steady state indicate that the rate of heat flow per unit area, that is rate of heat flow per unit area, will be directly proportional to the temperature gradient. Is directly proportional to the temperature gradient, that is Q by A is directly proportional to T1 minus T naught by Y, that is this thing. If you remove this proportionality constant, we have a term, constant of proportionality, which is called as thermal conductivity. So that is rate of heat transfer per unit area is equal to the thermal conductivity into the temperature difference divided by the distance of the plates between the two plates, that is Y. So in the SI units, this Q is having the units joules per second or watt. The area is meter square per second, and dt by dx, that is the this temperature difference, is, let's say, Kelvin by m, not kilometer, Kelvin by m. So we have the units of thermal conductivity, which will come out to be joules per second per meter per second, or it can also be written as watt per meter square per second. So hence, thermal conductivity of a material is basically a function of the temperature difference. It's the function of the temperature difference. In a microscopic form, in a microscopic form, we can also write the flux, that is Q, in the y direction is negative of k dt by dy, where y indicates the direction of the flux, and a negative sign indicates the heat flow in the decreasing temperature direction. Heat flow or heat transfer in the decreasing temperature direction. That is, the heat is being flowing towards this. That is, over here the temperature is high, and as we move in the up direction, there is a decrease in the temperature. So heat flows in the decreasing temperature direction. So it is Qy is minus k dt by dy. Clear? So this is what your Fourier law of heat conduction is. So this is your, let's say, is Fourier law of heat conduction. Further, let's again consider two large parallel plates. Let's say we have two large parallel plates of area A, cross-sectional area A, and let's say the lower plate is coated with the material A. The lower plate, that is this part, is coated with the material A. The lower plate is coated with the material A. And which has a very low, solubility in the stagnant fluid. Now over here, there is a stagnant fluid between the two parallel plates. There is a stagnant fluid over here. Let's say fluid B. So the inner part of the lower plate is coated with material A, and there is a stagnant fluid B, which is between the two parallel plates. Now suppose the saturation concentration of A over here is rho A naught. It's the saturation concentration of material A, which is coated over here. And let's say the A undergoes a rapid chemical reaction at the surface of the upper plate. Now, as it reaches over here, the upper plate, there is a chemical reaction occurring. So its concentration is 0 at that point. So over here, when A reaches over here, diffuses through this stagnant film. As it reaches over here, it quickly undergoes into a chemical reaction. So that means over the upper part of the plate, the concentration of A is supposed to be 0. At time t equal to 0, the lower plate is suddenly exposed to this stagnant film B, and as the time proceeds, what you'll notice that as the time proceeds, you will notice that the A starts diffusing into B, and with the passage of time, the diffusion becomes, under steady state conditions, becomes a linear with the distance. So as it reaches over here, the A is undergoes a rapid chemical reaction. So the solubility of A is almost low, and it will follow a linear distribution as it undergoes a steady state conditions. So okay, over here, let me show the axis, that it's again the same axis of x and y. Now, experimental measurements indicates that the mass flux of A is directly proportional to the concentration gradient. That is, mass flux of A is directly proportional to the concentration gradient, that is rho A naught by y. And if we remove this constant of proportionality, we'll end up as DAB. So where this constant of proportionality, that is DAB, is called as binary molecular mass diffusivity, that is DAB, between species A through B, that is diffusion of A through B. That's why it's written DAB. So this in a microscopic form, this equation can be written as JAY is minus DAB into rho dWA by dy. So this equation is called as Fick's law of diffusion, or Fick's law of first diffusion, or Fick's first law of diffusion, where JAY represents the molecular mass flux of species A in y direction, that is diffusion of A in the y direction, and W over here, W represents the mass fraction of A, mass fraction of A. So, and this represents the density, mass density of A. So if mass density is constant, it can be taken out. Otherwise, what we can do is we can also rewrite this form as JAY as minus DAB into d rho A by dy. That is testing. Clear? So it can be represented in either in the mass fraction terms, or it can be in the mass density terms. But sometimes, but more conveniently, what we normally represent this Fick's law is in terms of your concentration gradient. So it can also be written as JAY star. Now we use star because it's a molecular flux. Now we are talking about in the terms of molecular flux. So initially it was mass flux, now it's a molecular flux, which is nothing but minus DAB in concentration C dXA by dy, where again C represents the concentration of A, and X represents the mole fraction of A, or if concentration, if you want to express in terms of concentration, so it can again be represented as minus DAB del CA by del Y. So it can be represented in either form, where again this JAY star, it's the molar flux of species A in y direction. Clear? So it is JAY minus DAB dCA by dy. Now, if you see, the diffusion coefficient is having the dimensions mass square meter square per second, that is DAB, diffusion coefficient, is having this thing. For gases, normally for gases, diffusion coefficient is in the range of 10 raised to power minus 5 meter square per second under standard STP conditions. That is standard temperature and pressure conditions. For liquids, the diffusion coefficient is of order 10 raised to power 9, and for solids, it's of order 10 raised to power minus 10 to 10 raised to power minus 14 meter square per second. Also, you can remember this thing that the diffusion coefficient DAB is directly proportional to temperature by pressure. It's directly proportional to the T raised to power 3 by 2 and inversely proportional to the pressure conditions under ideal gas conditions. So if any gas is under ideal gas, then the diffusion coefficient is directly proportional to T raised to power 3 by 2 and inversely proportional to the pressure conditions. Now, if you look at the Newton law of viscosity, if you look at the Fourier law of heat conduction, And if you look at the fixed law of diffusion, Newton law of viscosity, which is tau yx is minus mu dux by dy. If you look at Fourier's law of conduction, that is Qy is minus k dtx by dy. And if you look at Fick's law of diffusion, that is Jay is minus dAv d rho a by dy. If you look at all these laws, these are basically not the laws, these are basically the defining equations for viscosity, for thermal conductivity, and for diffusivity. These are basically the defining equations for these particular terms, that is viscosity, thermal conductivity, and your diffusivity. Now, these fluxes, these are your fluxes, that is tau yx, qy, and j dot ay. And we have the gradients with us. These are the gradients, that is dux by dy, dtx by dy, and d rho a by dy. These are the gradients. Now, if you see the relation between the flux and the gradients, all these three laws, they can be generalized. They can be generalized in a standard form. That is, we can say that molecular flux is nothing but the gradient of the driving force. That is, the velocity is the driving force in the Newton law. Temperature difference is the driving force in the Fick's law of conduction, and the concentration difference is the driving force for the diffusion to occur. So gradient of the driving force, and these terms, that is viscosity, thermal conductivity, and diffusivity, they are called as transport properties. They are called as transport property. So these fluxes are nothing but the product of the transport property into the gradient of the driving force. So all these terms, all these laws, they can be generalized into one standard form, that is molecular flux is nothing but the transport property into the gradient of the driving force. But no doubt, all these, they can be generalized into this thing. But if you look at the transport properties, that is viscosity, conductivity, and diffusivity. If you look at these three, they are having different units. All they have are different units. So all these have different units. So we can clearly, cannot say that they are analogous to each other. So we cannot say that they are completely analogous to each other because they have different units. No doubt they are all come under the category of transport property, but because of their difference in the units, so they are cannot be completely analogous to each other. So in order to express them as a standard form, what we can do is we can rewrite these equations. So if you look at the Newton law of viscosity, that is tau yx, let's multiply and divide by rho. So can we write it as du by dy of rho vx, where let's say rho is some sort of a constant. If you look at Fourier law of heat conduction, Qy, it's minus k by, let's multiply and divide by rho Cp. So we have dy by dy of rho Cpt, where let's say rho Cp is some sort of a constant parameter. And if you look at the Fourier's Fick's law, Jay, let's say minus dAb into d rho a by dy. Let's keep it as it is because over here again the rho is constant. Now if you look at these terms which are written over here, that is rho v x, rho vx, rho cp, and rho a. What are these? So rho vx is nothing but your momentum per unit volume. It's momentum per unit volume because mass into velocity will be momentum and mass upon density is your volume. So, sorry, density can be written as your mass upon volume. So it's mass into velocity, momentum per unit volume. Clear? Whereas rho CPT, it's now density mass upon volume, MCPT. MCPT is basically the energy. So it's energy per unit volume. And if you look at this rho, it is this thing. If you look at this rho A, what is rho A? It's mass of A per unit volume. So all these terms which are appearing over here, they are basically your momentum, energy, and mass, all the three standard terms per unit volume. Now, if you compare the terms which are appearing over here, that is mu by rho, k by rho Cp, and dAB. If you look at these terms, now mu by rho, what is this? This is called as kinematic viscosity. Kinematic viscosity, or it's also known as momentum diffusivity. Momentum diffusivity with the units of meter square per second. Further, if you look at the term which is appearing in the conduction, that is k by rho Cp. This is called as thermal diffusivity. Thermal diffusivity with the units of meter square per second. And if you look at the term which is appearing in the fix, that is DAB, it's called as mass diffusivity. Again, the units meter square per second. Now, all the terms which are appearing in these laws, they are having a standard unit, that is mu by rho is meter square per second, which is momentum diffusivity. K by rho Cp is your heat associated with the heat, so it's a thermal diffusivity, again units meter square per second. And DAB, it's your mass diffusivity, meter square per second. So we can also say, so we can rewrite your this standard equation as molecular flux as diffusivity times the gradient of the quantity per unit volume. Gradient of the quantity per unit volume. Initially, it was molecular flux as transport property into the gradient of the driving force. Now, upon bit modification, it can be written as molecular flux as the diffusivity into the gradient of the quantity per unit volume, because all the terms which are appearing in the gradient term, they are momentum per unit volume, energy per unit volume, and mass per unit volume. So it's basically the gradient of the quantity. Now the quantity can be momentum, quantity can be energy, or quantity can be your mass per unit volume into the diffusivity. Now diffusivity can be your momentum diffusivity, thermal diffusivity, or it can be your mass diffusivity. So hence all these terms. So let's say this is your mu, this is alpha. So mu, alpha, and DAB. All these are diffusivities and they are all dimensionless terms. Sorry, they are not dimensionless terms. Since they are having the same units. So all are having the same units, which are meter square per second. And all these are your diffusivities. Now, if you take the ratio of these diffusivities, so if you take, since they all are having same units, so if you take their ratio, they're gonna end up as a dimensionless terms. So they're going to end up as dimensionless terms. So if you take the ratio of momentum diffusivity to thermal diffusivity, if you take the ratio of momentum diffusivity to thermal diffusivity, that is momentum to thermal, that is alpha. So if you rearrange these terms, so let's put their value. What we have is mu by rho, alpha is k rho Cp. So if you end up this thing, so it is Cp mu by k. And what is Cp mu by k? It is your Prandtl number, PR. That is Prandtl number. So hence, you can define Prandtl number. Prandtl number is nothing but the ratio of momentum diffusivity to your thermal diffusivity. So remember, this ratio of momentum diffusivity to thermal diffusivity leads to a dimensionless term, which is called as Prandtl number. Second, if you take the ratio of momentum diffusivity to mass diffusivity, if you take the ratio of momentum diffusivity to mass diffusivity, it's a dimensionless term which goes by the name Schmidt number. It's your Schmidt number. So remember, wherever there is a mass transfer occurring along with the flow, the dimensionless term which will appear will be your Schmidt number. So it's that number, Schmidt number. So Schmidt number is your mu by rho DAB, or it can be mu by DAB. So that's your Schmidt number. Third is, if you take the ratio of thermal to mass diffusivity. Third, if you take the ratio of thermal to mass diffusivity, so that is alpha by DAB. So what is that? That is alpha is k by rho Cp DAB. It's called as Lewis number. It's called as Lewis number, or you can also, if you compare in terms of this thing, Lewis number can also be written as Le. So Lewis number is nothing but the ratio of Schmidt number to Prandtl number. So Lewis number is nothing but the ratio of your Schmidt number to Prandtl number. So all these are the important dimensionless terms which you should remember. If there is momentum occurring, if there is a flow with heat transfer, remember this, if there is a flow with heat transfer, their Prandtl number is a must. If there is flow with concentration occurring, it's called as Schmidt number. And if there is thermal plus concentration occurring, it has to be Lewis number. Clear? And also Lewis number can be is nothing but your Schmidt number to Prandtl number. So obviously, when there is a thermal and the mass is occurring, at the same time momentum will also be occurring. So Lewis number is basically the combination of all three. That is mass, momentum, and your heat. Now for gases, normally for gases, remember this thing. For gases, Prandtl number is Cp mu by K. So for gases, Cp is normally in the range of 10 raised to power 3. Viscosity is normally in the range of 10 raised to power minus 5. And thermal conductivity is normally in the range of 10 raised to power minus 2. So if you take this ratio, it will come out to be 1. So for gases, Prandtl number is normally in the range of 1. Similarly, Schmidt number, mu by rho DAB. So viscosity 10 raised to power minus 5. Density is normally considered as 1, and diffusivity again 10 raised to power minus 5. So it's almost approximately equal to 1. So in general, remember this, for gases, Prandtl number and Schmidt number is 1, and Lewis number is again the ratio of your Schmidt to Prandtl. So Lewis number is also equal to 1. So for gases, all these three terms, they are approximately equal to 1. For liquids, Prandtl number, which is Cp mu by K, normally Cp is 10 raised to power 3, viscosity is 10 raised to power minus 3, and thermal conductivity is normally 10 raised to power minus 1. So it's approximately equal to 10. Schmidt number, which is mu by rho dAV. Viscosity is 10 raised to power minus 3. Density is normally in the 10 raised to power 3, and diffusivity is 10 raised to power minus 9. So the Schmidt number is normally in the range of 10 raised to power 3. And Lewis number is again your Schmidt by Prandtl. So it's in the range of hundreds. So for liquids, you can remember this. Prandtl is in the range of 10. Schmidt is normally in the range of thousands, and Lewis is in the range of 10 hundreds. So this is the analogy between all the three laws, that is your Newton law of viscosity, Fourier law of conduction, and diffusion, effects of diffusion. And in general, it can be expressed as your fluxes as transfer property into the gradient of the driving force, or it can also be modified into the another term, that is molecular fluxes diffusivity into the gradient of the quantity per unit volume. Now, this diffusivity can be in terms of your momentum diffusivity, it can be in terms of thermal diffusivity, and it can also be in terms of mass diffusivity. Momentum diffusivity is same as your kinematic viscosity, mu by rho, thermal diffusivity K by rho Cp, and mass diffusivity as dU. So all these analogies are done so that the transport property have the same units. Then only we can say that one law can be used to define the second law, and the second law can be used to define the third law. So that's why we did this analogy. So that's it with this today's lecture of this analogies of these laws. Thank you so much. If you have any query, you can ask.